how it says relief at the top, so it's like the. Can you help finding it?
Sure.
Right there, it says relief. Find it? Okay. So now they are underneath this tree. So what's happening after that? Relief at being alive and exasperation at his captive plight brought a strange medley of pious thank offerings and sharp curses to Ulrich's lips. George, who was early blinded with the blood which trickled across his eyes, stopped his struggling for a moment to listen, and then gave a short, snarling laugh. So you're not killed, as you ought to be, but you're caught anyway, he cried. Caught fast, ho, what a jest. Ulrich von Gronwitz snared in his stolen forest. There's real justice for you. And he laughed again, mockingly and savagely. I'm caught in my own forest land, retorted Ulrich. When my men come to release us, you will wish, perhaps, that you were in a better plight than caught poaching on a neighbor's land. Shame on you. George was silent for a moment, then he answered quietly, Are you sure that your men will find much release? I have men, too, in the forest tonight, close behind me, and they will be here first and do the releasing. When they drag me out from under these damn branches, it won't need much clumsiness on their part to roll this massive trunk right over on top of you. Your men will find you dead under a fallen beech tree. For form's sake, I shall send my condolences to your family. It is a useful hint, said Ulrich fiercely. My men had orders to follow in 10 minutes' time, 7 of which must have gone by already. And when they gave me out, I will remember the hint, only as you will have met your death poaching on my lands. I don't think I can decently send any message of condolences to your family. Good, snarled George, good. We fight this quarrel out to the death. And you and I and our foresters with no cursed interlopers to come between us. Death and damnation to you, Ulrich von Gronwitz. The same to you, George Zynum, forest thief, game snatcher. Both men spoke with the bitterness of possible defeat before them, for each knew that it might be long before his men would seek him out or find him. It was a bare matter of chance which party would arrive first on the scene. Both had now given up the useless struggle to free themselves from the mass of wood that held them down. Ulrich limited his endeavors to an effort to bring his one partially free arm near enough to his outer coat pocket to draw out his wine flask. Even when he had accomplished that operation, it was long before he could manage the unscrewing of the stopper or get any of the liquid down his throat. But when a heaven sent drought it seemed, it was an open winter and little snow had fallen as yet. Hence, the captive's suffering less from the cold than might have been the case in the season of the year. Nevertheless, the wine was warming and reviving to the wounded man, and he looked across with something like a throb of pity to where his enemy lay, just keeping the groans of pain and weariness from crossing his lips. Could you reach this flask if I threw it over to you? Said Ulrich suddenly. There is good wine in it, and one may as well be as comfortable as one can. Let us drink, even if tonight one of us dies. No, I could scarcely see anything. There is so much blood caked around my eyes, said George. And in any case, I don't drink wine with an enemy. Ulrich was silent for a few minutes, and lay listening to the weary screeching of the wind. An idea was slowly forming and growing in his brain, an idea that gained strength every time that he looked across at the man who was fighting so grimly against pain and exhaustion. In the pain and languor that Ulrich himself was feeling, the old fierce hatred seemed to be dying down. So this is that character versus self, right? Like, he wants to hate him, but as he's going through this process, he realizes that maybe he wants to give that up, give that old feud up. Neighbor, he said presently, do as you please if your men come first. It was a fair compact, but as for me, I've changed my mind. If my men are the first to come, you shall be the first to be helped, as though you were my guest. We have quarreled like devils all of our lives over this stupid strip of forest, where the trees can't even stand upright in a breath of wind. Lying here tonight, thinking I've come to think we've been rather fools. There are better things in life than getting the better of boundary dispute. Neighbor, if you will help me to bury the old quarrel, I will ask you to be my friend. George Zynon was silent for so long that Ulrich thought perhaps he had fainted with the pain of his injuries. Then he spoke slowly and in jerks. How the whole region would stare and gabble if we rode into the market square together. No one living can remember seeing a Zynon and a von Gronwitz talking to one another in friendship. And what peace there would be among the Forrester folk if we ended our feud tonight. And if we choose to make peace among our people, there is none other to interfere, no interlopers from outside. You will come and keep the Sylvester night beneath my roof, and I would come and feast on some high day at your castle. I would never fire a shot on your land, save you had invited me as a guest, and you should come and shoot me down in the marshes where the wildfowl are. In all the countryside there are none that could hinder if we willed to make peace. I never thought to have wanted to do other than hate you all my life, but I think I have changed my mind about things too. This last half hour, and you offered me your wine flask, Ulrich von Gronwitz, I will be your friend. For a space, both men were silent, turning over in their minds the wonderful changes that this dramatic reconciliation would bring about. In the cold, gloomy forest, when the wind tearing in fitful gusts through the naked branches and whistling around the tree trunks, they lay and waited for the help that would now bring release and succor to both parties. And each prayed a private prayer that his men might be the first to arrive, so that he might be the first to show honorable attention to the enemy that had become a friend. Presently, as the wind dropped for a moment, Ulrich broke silence. "Let's shout for help," he said. He said in his lull, our voices may carry a little way. They won't carry far through the trees and undergrowth, said George, but we can try. Together, then. The two raised their voices in a prolonged hunting call. Together again, said Ulrich a few minutes later, after listening in vain for an answering hello. I heard nothing but the facetial wind, said George hoarsely. There was silence again for some minutes, and then Ulrich gave a joyful cry. I can see figures coming through the wood. They are following in the way I came down the hillside. Both men raised their voices in as loud a shout as they could muster. They hear us! They've stopped! Now they see us! They're running down the hill towards us, cried Ulrich. How many of them are there? Asked George. I can't see distinctly, said Ulrich. 9 or 10? Then they are yours, said George. I had only 7 out with me. They were making all the speed they can, brave lads, said Ulrich gladly. Are they your men? Asked George. Are they your men? He repeated impatiently as Ulrich did not answer. No, said Ulrich with a laugh. The idiotic, chattering laugh of a man unstrung with hideous fear. Who are they? Asked George quickly, straining his eyes to see what the other would gladly not have seen. Wolves. So then there's where fate plays in. They've decided to be friends, right? But fate has another idea because the wolves have come. Yes? All right. So we'll move back here.